Disability discussions with Ihoma Healthcare.
Welcome back to Disability Discussions with Ihoma Healthcare. We're so glad you're here with us today. Every week, we explore topics that shape disability services, family experiences, and the everyday lives of people with developmental disabilities. And today's conversation is one that every caregiver, family member, educator, and support professional has wrestled with at some point.
Absolutely. Today we're talking about challenging behaviors. You know the phrase. It shows up in reports, meetings, care plans, and conversations. But here's the truth. Challenging behaviors aren't random, and they aren't meaningless. They're messages, they're communication, they're clues. And when we learn how to interpret them, everything changes.
So today's episode is called The Truth About Challenging Behaviors, What Behaviors Are Really Trying to Tell Us. And we're going to dig into why behaviors happen, what they mean, and how understanding the person, not the behavior, is the key to real support.
Let's start with the phrase itself. Challenging behavior is usually used to describe actions that disrupt routines, cause concern, or make caregiving difficult. Things like aggression, withdrawal, refusal, elopement, self-injury, yelling, or shutting down.
But here's the problem. The phrase focuses on how the behavior affects us, the caregivers, the staff, the environment, instead of focusing on what the behavior means for the person experiencing it.
Exactly. When we label something as challenging, we risk missing the message underneath. And that message is almost always about unmet needs.
This is the foundation of everything we're talking about today. Behavior is communication. It's not random, it's not meaningless, it's not a personality flaw. It's a message.
For people who struggle with verbal communication, behavior becomes the clearest way to express discomfort, fear, confusion, pain, or unmet needs. And even for people who can communicate verbally, behavior often shows up when emotions overwhelm language.
Think about it. When a person is overwhelmed, anxious, overstimulated, or misunderstood, their behavior becomes the language their body uses.
And if we only try to stop the behavior, we miss the message.
Let's talk about the why. Behaviors don't appear out of nowhere. They're responses to something, a trigger, a need, a feeling, or an environment.
Some common reasons include sensory overload, communication barriers, pain or discomfort, fear, confusion, unexpected changes, or environments that aren't accessible.
And sometimes the reason is simple. The person is trying to get away from something overwhelming or move towards something comforting.
When we understand the why, the behavior stops being challenging and starts being understandable.
Let's talk about what happens when we misinterpret behavior. When we see behavior as defiance, aggression, or manipulation, we respond with control instead of compassion.
And that can lead to consequences that harm trust. People may feel punished for communicating. They may shut down. They may become more anxious. They may lose opportunities because their behavior is misunderstood.
Families feel frustrated, staff feel overwhelmed, and the person at the center of it all feels unheard.
Misinterpreting behavior doesn't just create conflict, it creates distance.
Let's bring this to life with some examples. Imagine a person who hits when someone touches their shoulder. Symptom-focused care says they're aggressive.
But person-centered understanding says maybe that touch startled them. Maybe they have sensory sensitivities. Maybe they didn't understand what was happening.
Another example, a person who refuses to enter a room. Symptom-focused care says they're being difficult.
Person-centered care says maybe the room is too loud. Maybe the lighting is overwhelming. Maybe something happened in that room before that scared them.
Or consider a person who elopes, who runs away. Symptom-focused care says they're trying to escape.
Person-centered care says maybe they're overstimulated. Maybe they're anxious. Maybe they're trying to find a quiet space.
When we understand the person, the behavior makes sense.
Environment plays a huge role in behavior. Noise, lighting, temperature, crowding, unpredictability, all of these can trigger behaviors.
And sometimes the environment is the problem, not the person. If a space is overwhelming, inaccessible, or unpredictable, behavior becomes a natural response.
When we adjust the environment, not the person, we often see behaviors decrease dramatically.
Routine is another major factor. Many people with developmental disabilities rely on structure to feel safe and regulated.
When routines change suddenly, behaviors often appear, not because the person is acting out, but because they're trying to regain predictability.
Visual schedules, timers, countdowns, and clear transitions can make a huge difference.
Structure isn't control, it's support.
Communication is at the heart of behavior. When people don't have the tools to express themselves, behavior becomes the tool.
This is why communication supports, AAC devices, gestures, visuals, sign language, or simplified language are essential.
When communication increases, challenging behaviors often decrease.
Because the person finally has a voice.
Let's talk about trust. When a person trusts their caregivers, behaviors often soften. When they feel safe, understood, and respected, they communicate more openly.
Trust is built through consistency, empathy, and listening. It's built when caregivers respond to behavior with curiosity instead of judgment.
Trust transforms behavior. It turns challenges into conversations.
So what can we do differently? First, we can shift our mindset. Instead of asking, how do we stop this behavior? We ask, what is this behavior trying to tell us?
We can observe patterns. We can adjust environments. We can support communication. We can build routines. We can strengthen relationships.
And most importantly, we can see the person, not the behavior.
So what's the truth about challenging behaviors? They're not challenges. They're messages. They're clues. They're communication.
And when we learn to listen, we create environments where people feel safe, understood, and empowered. That's the heart of person-centered care.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Disability Discussions with Ihoma Healthcare. We hope today's conversation helps you see behavior in a new way, with empathy, curiosity, and respect.
Share this episode, keep the conversation going, and remember, every behavior tells a story. Our job is to listen.
We'll see you next time.